Ladies and gentlemen, today, we gather not just to talk about progress, but to celebrate possibility. We are living in a time when boundaries are being broken, ceilings are being shattered, and women are stepping boldly into spaces once thought to be unreachable. One of those spaces is STEM: science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. For generations, women were told that STEM wasn't for them, that math was too difficult, that science was too complex, that coding was a man's game. But those myths are crumbling. Because today, women aren't just participating in STEM, they're leading the way, transforming industries and reshaping the future. Let me share with you 4 powerful truths about women unleashing their potential in STEM. Number 1. Passion knows no gender. It doesn't check for titles, credentials, or backgrounds. It doesn't ask whether you're male or female, old or young, experienced or new. Passion is that burning desire within the spark that keeps you awake at night, the excitement that wakes you up in the morning, and the voice inside that whispers, "Keep going," even when the world says you don't belong here. In the world of STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, this truth becomes even more powerful. For so long, society painted a narrow picture of what a scientist or an engineer should look like. But passion doesn't conform to expectations. It doesn't stay within lines drawn by outdated traditions or inherited stereotypes. It breaks them. Every woman who has ever looked at the stars and imagined exploring them, who has opened a laptop and wondered how lines of code become living, breathing programs, who has taken apart machines just to understand how they work, that woman has already taken the first step into a world once dominated by male voices, and her passion, not her gender, is what makes that step meaningful. We often talk about talent, intelligence, and skill, but passion is what activates all of them. It's the fuel that keeps a woman in STEM studying late into the night, not because someone demanded it of her, but because something inside her is alive. Passion makes her curious. It makes her resilient. It makes her refuse to be invisible. The most dangerous myth society ever sold was that certain interests are gendered, that a girl who loves numbers or problem solving is too ambitious or trying too hard. But the truth is, passion exists in all of us, and when we silence that passion in girls, we lose out on the breakthroughs, inventions, and ideas that could have changed everything. We don't just limit them, we limit the world. Think of all the women who were told STEM wasn't for them, only to go on and lead projects that redefined industries, discover cures, develop groundbreaking technology, and inspire the next generation. These women didn't wait for permission. They followed what lit them up inside, because when you follow your passion, even rejection becomes fuel. Every no becomes a challenge, and every obstacle becomes proof of how much you care. Passion also teaches you how to persevere. It's easy to pursue something when everything is smooth. But what about when your ideas are dismissed, when you're the only woman in the room, when your voice is talked over or your worth is questioned? Passion doesn't back down in those moments. It stands taller. It reminds you that you're not doing this for applause or acceptance. You're doing it because something inside you refuses to be quiet. And when one woman dares to be bold with her passion, she doesn't just make space for herself, she opens a door for countless others. Every woman who stands tall in STEM today is a living reminder to every girl watching that there is no such thing as a male field or a female field. There is only the field you feel called to enter, and your passion is your compass. It's time to stop measuring passion by outdated standards. A woman doesn't have to code like a man to be brilliant. She doesn't have to mimic anyone's style to belong. Her voice, her ideas, her approach, they are needed, not as imitations but as innovations. Passion allows her to show up as her authentic self and still lead with power. Let's stop asking whether women can do STEM. They already are. Let's start asking how we can remove the roadblocks so their passion can take root and flourish. Let's create classrooms where girls are encouraged to tinker, question, build, and dream. Let's build workplaces where their passion isn't silenced but celebrated. Let's show the world that when women follow their inner fire, they don't just participate, they transform. The future of STEM is not one-dimensional. It's diverse, bold, and deeply human, and passion is at the heart of it all. Every experiment, every discovery, every new line of code begins with someone who cared enough to try. And the truth is, when women step into STEM, not out of obligation, but out of passion, they bring something powerful, something fresh, something the world has been waiting for. So to every girl who loves solving puzzles, to every woman whose heart races at the thought of launching rockets or developing software or cracking scientific mysteries, your passion is not a weakness. It is your superpower, and it has nothing to do with your gender. It has everything to do with your courage to follow it. Number 2, role models light the path. They show us what's possible when the world says impossible. They walk ahead not to take all the glory, but to shine a light for others still unsure of where they're going. In the world of STEM, where women have historically been underrepresented, role models are more than inspirational figures. They are essential guides who help break barriers, dismantle stereotypes, and redefine what leadership looks like. For a young girl sitting in a classroom, wondering if she really belongs in a science lab or at the head of a tech startup, seeing someone who looks like her doing those very things can change everything. It's not just about ambition, it's about permission. Role models silently say, you can take up space here, you can do this, you're not alone. And that message, when received at the right moment, can alter the course of a life. When women in STEM rise to visibility, they do more than succeed for themselves. They send ripples through their communities. They create a culture of visibility that challenges outdated norms. Every time a woman presents her research, leads a tech team, or stands on stage to talk about her innovations, she chips away at the tired narrative that STEM is a man's world. Her presence becomes proof that change isn't coming, it's already happening. But the journey for many of these role models was not easy. Many of them entered their fields without anyone to look up to, without anyone paving the way for them. They endured environments that questioned their intelligence, underestimated their contributions, and isolated them for being different. And yet, they pressed on, not because it was easy, but because it mattered. Their determination wasn't just about personal ambition. It was about the belief that things could be different for the next generation, that their daughters, sisters, and students wouldn't have to walk through the same fire alone. Their courage laid the groundwork for a better future. And now, with their stories being told, their voices being heard, and their success being celebrated, they light up the path in ways they never imagined. It's not about being perfect or knowing all the answers. The real power of a role model lies in her authenticity, her willingness to be visible, to share her struggles, to own her journey, and to show that success is possible even when the odds are stacked high. Representation isn't just symbolic, it's deeply practical. When women in STEM serve as mentors, speakers, educators, and leaders, they help others navigate a world that still isn't always inclusive. They provide the guidance they once had to find on their own. They give feedback that's rooted in empathy. They offer encouragement that's born from experience. And most importantly, they help others see that failure doesn't mean the dream is over. It just means you're learning. The beauty of role models is that they come in many forms. Some are famous scientists or tech CEO whose stories make headlines. Others are teachers in small classrooms who nurture a love of math and science. Some are engineers working behind the scenes to design the world we live in. Others are coders working late into the night to build tools that improve lives. Each one matters. Each one carries the light forward. And this light multiplies. When a young woman sees someone ahead of her succeed, she dares to dream a little bigger. And when she rises, she in turn becomes the role model for someone else. It's a beautiful chain reaction of possibility. The light passed from one hand to the next, brighter each time. That's how change happens. Not in a sudden burst, but in countless quiet moments of courage that inspire others to act. The impact of a role model doesn't end when the spotlight fades. It lives on in the choices others make, in the courage they summon, in the belief they hold about what they can achieve. And in STEM, where the challenges can be daunting and the paths unclear, that impact is life-changing. We must continue to elevate the stories of women in STEM, not just for the sake of recognition, but because those stories are maps. They show others where the roadblocks might be and how to overcome them. They show how strength and vulnerability can exist side by side. They show that brilliance doesn't have one face, one voice, or one way of showing up. So if you are a woman in STEM, whether you've just started your journey or have been leading for years, know this: your presence matters. Your story matters, and your willingness to be seen to lead and to lift others as you climb is a gift the world desperately needs. You don't have to have it all figured out to be a role model. You just have to be brave enough to show up and share your light. Because someone out there is watching, someone out there is waiting to believe they can, and your example might be the very thing that helps them take the first step. Role models don't just change the path. They light it, and when women in STEM lead the way, they illuminate a future where everyone, regardless of gender, and walk forward with confidence. Number 3. Diversity drives discovery. In ways that are profound, undeniable, and essential to the progress of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. In a world that is constantly evolving, where the problems we face are complex and global in nature, innovation can no longer come from a single perspective. It must be fueled by a wide range of experiences, voices, and ways of thinking. That's why the presence of women, and especially women of diverse backgrounds, in STEM is not a symbolic gesture. It's a necessity. When teams are made up of people who all think the same, come from similar environments, and solve problems using identical frameworks, the solutions they generate are often limited. They may work, but they rarely push boundaries. But when a group of individuals brings varied life experiences, cultural backgrounds, educational journeys, and ways of processing information to the table, suddenly, new doors open. Diversity unlocks creativity. It challenges assumptions. It asks better questions. It dares to reimagine what is possible. Women, especially those who have had to navigate spaces that were not built with them in mind, bring a powerful kind of intelligence to the field. Not just technical intelligence, but emotional, cultural, and adaptive intelligence. They often approach challenges with empathy, resilience, and collaboration. Their contributions expand not just the solutions being created, but the methods by which those solutions come to life. They help reframe problems in ways that hadn't been considered before. Imagine a medical device designed only by men. It might perform well for male physiology, but fail to meet the needs of women. Imagine a city's transportation system designed without input from mothers, disabled individuals, or people who walk to work. The oversight wouldn't be intentional. It would simply be the result of a missing perspective. And that's what diversity protects us from: blind spots. It helps us see what we might otherwise overlook. When women join and lead in STEM, they bring with them stories, strengths, and insights shaped by their lives. They often understand firsthand what it means to work harder for recognition, to find creative ways around barriers, and to thrive in environments that didn't initially include them. These experiences don't hold them back. They sharpen their ability to solve problems with precision and ingenuity. Innovation thrives in discomfort, in friction, and in difference. When someone speaks up with a different viewpoint in a team meeting or proposes a solution that doesn't follow traditional logic, that moment of divergence can lead to breakthrough thinking. It's not always comfortable, but it's always valuable. Diversity invites these moments. It says, we don't all have to agree, but we all deserve to be heard. And in that hearing, discovery happens. It's also important to understand that diversity is not just about gender or race. It includes socioeconomic background, neurodiversity, language, physical ability, and so much more. Every time a new voice is added to the STEM conversation, it enriches the field. Every time a woman from a rural village gets access to tech education, or a young girl of color sees herself in a scientist on screen, the circle of innovation expands. It becomes more inclusive, more representative, and far more effective. The challenges of today, climate change, pandemics, cybersecurity threats, food insecurity, cannot be solved by a homogeneous group of thinkers. They require solutions that consider the nuances of different communities, different regions, and different needs. Women, particularly those from underserved or overlooked populations, often have intimate knowledge of these challenges. They live them, they see them, and they have unique insight into how to solve them. But for diversity to truly drive discovery, inclusion must follow. It's not enough to invite women into the room. They must be empowered to speak, to lead, and to influence. Their ideas must be valued. Their contributions must be recognized. The culture must shift from fitting in to belonging. Because when people feel they belong, they bring their full selves to the work, and when that happens, magic follows. The future of STEM is not just built in labs and code. It is built in conversations, collaborations, and courageous choices. It is built when leaders choose to listen to voices that have been silent. It is built when organizations prioritize diverse hiring not because it looks good on paper, but because it leads to better outcomes. It is built when classrooms encourage every child, regardless of gender, income, or background, to believe that they can invent, build, and explore. Diversity is not a trend. It is the foundation of sustainable progress. It is the fuel for bold innovation. It is the force that keeps discovery alive. When women from all walks of life are given the tools, the trust, and the freedom to lead in STEM, we don't just add to the workforce, we transform the future. So let us move forward with the clear understanding that diversity is not a checkbox. It is a catalyst. And when we embrace it fully, we don't just make science more inclusive, we make it more brilliant. Number 4. Confidence is built by doing, not by waiting, not by overthinking, and certainly not by perfection. It doesn't arrive fully formed or handed to you by someone else. It grows every time you choose to take a step forward, especially when that step is uncomfortable or uncertain. In STEM, where the path is often steep and the landscape constantly evolving, confidence is not a prerequisite. It is the result of showing up, trying, failing, learning, and trying again. Many people believe that confident individuals were simply born that way, as if they were gifted with some unshakable belief in themselves. But the truth is, most confident women in STEM began with self-doubt. They questioned whether they belonged, whether they were smart enough, whether their voice mattered. What set them apart wasn't the absence of fear. It was the willingness to move forward anyway. Because with every experiment conducted, every code written, every presentation delivered, confidence slowly took root. There's a unique kind of bravery in doing something you've never done before. It doesn't feel comfortable. It often comes with the risk of failure, criticism, or comparison. But doing is what teaches you that failure isn't fatal, it's feedback. Every mistake becomes a lesson. Every challenge becomes a training ground. And each time you get back up after falling, your belief in yourself strengthens. You stop waiting for the perfect moment and start creating momentum. For women in STEM, this principle is especially powerful. In a field where the stakes are high and the representation still unequal, it's easy to feel the pressure to prove yourself over and over. But confidence doesn't come from external validation. It comes from internal experience. From those moments when you solved a problem after hours of struggle, from when you asked a question in a room full of experts, from when you dared to pitch your idea even if your voice trembled, those moments matter. They build your foundation. Confidence also grows when you realize you don't need to know everything to begin. In fact, no one ever does. The people who make the biggest impact are rarely the ones who knew it all from day one. They're the ones who were willing to learn, who asked questions, who stayed curious and persistent in doing the work step by step. They discovered their own strength. The process itself shaped their confidence. Action is the antidote to self-doubt. Thinking can only get you so far. At some point you must do. You must enroll in the class, apply for the job, write the line of code, build the prototype, or speak up in the meeting. Each action sends a message to your brain: I am capable, I am growing, I am becoming. You don't wait for courage to show up. You generate it through movement. There is also something incredibly powerful about seeing evidence of your progress. Looking back and realizing you once struggled with something that now feels easy is one of the most validating experiences. That shift didn't happen by accident. It happened because you kept going. Confidence doesn't shout or boast. It lives quietly in the daily discipline of showing up, and over time it becomes part of who you are. Another important truth is that confidence is not a straight line. It wavers. Even the most accomplished women in STEM still have moments of insecurity. That doesn't mean they aren't confident. It means they've learned how to keep moving despite it. They've learned to trust the process and to believe that their effort matters more than perfection. Support also plays a role in this journey. Surrounding yourself with people who challenge and encourage you can be transformative. Mentors, colleagues, and peers who believe in your potential help. Reflect your strengths back to you when you can't see them yourself. But even then, your confidence is something you must claim through your own action. No one can give it to you. They can only help you see that you already have what it takes. Doing also helps you build a track record that you can rely on. When you face new challenges, you can look back and remind yourself, I've done hard things before. I can do this too. That becomes your internal evidence, your personal proof that you're stronger than you think. And the more you do, the louder that voice becomes. Confidence built through doing is unshakable because it's earned. It's not based on praise, position, or popularity. It's rooted in experience. It's the quiet assurance that no matter what comes your way, you'll figure it out. Because you've done it before, and you'll do it again. So to every woman stepping into STEM, wondering if she's ready, wondering if she's enough, remember this. You don't need to feel confident to begin. You just need to begin. Confidence will meet you on the way. It will grow with every project you take on, every skill you learn, every doubt you overcome. You are more ready than you think. Start doing. And let your confidence rise with every step you take. So to every girl who's ever wondered if she's smart enough, to every woman who's ever hesitated before speaking up in a room full of engineers, to every female coder, researcher, or inventor who dared to try, this is your time. The world doesn't just need more women in STEM. It needs more women leading in STEM. Unleash your potential. Step into your brilliance. And remember, you are not just changing your life. You are changing the world. God bless you.